Thank you, Trustee Ferguson. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Rose Cooper, who was chosen by the Senior Class Council to represent the class of 2012.
To the President, trustees, faculty and staff, alumni, graduating seniors, students, families, and honored guests of MSU, I greet you today in the language that I have been studying for the past 3.5 years. 안녕하십니까? 저는 국부장미인데 미시간 주립대학교 한국어 프로그램 졸업생입니다. 반갑습니다. Good morning. My name is Rose Cooper, and I am a Michigan State University Korean Language Program candidate for graduation. I am delighted to be here today, but I have a confession to make. I'm not exactly what I appear to be. What you see standing before you is a failure. Now, I know that sounds strange since this is supposed to be a motivational speech, but on some levels, it is the absolute truth. I have, quite literally, failed. But the good news is, looks can be deceiving, so look again. The last time I checked, I have a 3.25 grade point average. Not exactly failing, but take another look. At my lowest, my GPA was a dismal 1.1875. And it doesn't take a math degree to calculate just what a GPA that low indicates. And yes, at one time, I was dismissed from MSU on the grounds of unacceptable academic performance. Oh, I hear you thinking. Now I get it. She was kicked out of MSU a couple of years ago, but then she came back, improved her GPA, and now she's graduating. That's why she's speaking today. And you'd be kind of right. But take one more look. Next week, in 8 days to be exact, I will be celebrating my 50th birthday. Wow, thank you. And that dismissal came more than a couple of years ago. You see, I have been attending college off and on for more than 30 years. I was dismissed from MSU in summer 1984, long before many of you were even born. I failed. If you've never experienced academic failure before, it's hard for me to describe the deep, agonizing guilt and shame that being kicked out of a university embeds in your soul. And in fact, it's not until this very day that I've even been able to say, I flunked out of college in front of my family. I felt like I shamed them. I felt like I failed them. I was the first one in my family to go to college. And when my mom and dad dropped me off at school on that first day, I promised them I'd do well. And I broke that promise. I'm so sorry, Mama. But I didn't have a lot of time to dwell on my guilt and shame. I had to go out there and get a job. Ironically, I found myself back at MSU later that same year in October 1984 as a full-time secretary. And 4 years later, I even was brought back to MSU in 1988 as a part-time student. And the second time around, I did better because I focused more on my studies and a little less on the man with whom I fell in love shortly after my mom and dad dropped me off that first day. But I soon began to experience severe panic attacks, and not wanting history to repeat itself, I dropped out of MSU in summer 1990. This time, I left of my own free will, and this time, I swore I was done with college for good. I kept that promise for nearly 20 years, and in that time, I did okay. I was happily married, raised 2 sons, did well on my job, started traveling, co-wrote a book, bought a motorcycle. Life was good. Until one fateful day in 2009 when my oldest son, Junbei, called me from Seoul, South Korea to tell me that he had gotten married there 2 days before that call. And after I got over my anger at that, that call changed my life. My husband, Michael, and I went to South Korea to visit Junbei and his new wife, Shinae, and I immediately fell in love with all things Korean, so much so that when I came back to Michigan 10 days later, so that I could learn how to speak to my daughter-in-law and future grandchild in their native language, I applied for readmission to MSU for the 3rd and final time. You know, I have done a lot of crazy things in my lifetime, but coming back to college and learning a new language at my age has been the hardest thing I have ever done. And even though I have received a 4.0 in every class I've taken since coming back, I've still struggled. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to quit, although I'm sure my Kyosunim could give you a pretty accurate count. But fortunately for me, I have had the world's greatest support system at my back. 친절한 사람들은 저를 너무 많이 도와주셔서 감사합니다. My advisors, Dr. Sarah Fryer and Sue Webster, performed miracles on my behalf. Professor Oak Suk Park's classes kicked my butt, and I love her for that. My language partners, Hammy Lee and Eunhae Ham, have become like sisters to me. Both here at MSU and at Sogang University in Seoul, South Korea, where I did my study abroad program last year, students half my age and younger reached out and pulled me through some very difficult times. And of course, the love and support I get from my husband, Michael, my sons, Junbei and Kuba, my parents, my sisters, my family, my church, my friends, has been valuable beyond words. And mere words cannot describe the joy I have standing here today in my cap and gown. I have finally achieved my life's most elusive goal, and it feels wonderful. But the joy I have is about more than just this cap and gown. It's about more than this degree I've earned. I finally understand that if I had not failed, if I had graduated on time, then I would not have experienced all the great things that I've experienced since that failure. Because of that failure, I finally see that embracing failure can be a great catalyst for change. But if you take nothing else from what I've said today, please take this. It's never too late. It's never too late. As long as you have life and breath in you, as long as you keep trying, you know what they say? Spartans will. So if you fall down, get back up. And if you fall down again, get back up again. Never stop getting back up. Keep trying. Keep fighting. And I am here to tell you, one day you will succeed. 감사합니다. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rose.